Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, December 12th, 2018.
Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, and Jacinto are present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Lighting. If you can come up to the podium.
Good morning, Vince Wayne with the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ali Posti, Bureau of Sanitation.
Alan Calgucci, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Sefi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration.
David Rivera, Street Services.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. No speaker cards on any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, November 14th, 2018? By Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 1, we have bids today for the 74th Street Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 1 Van Ness to Western project. The estimate's $8,704,580. It's in Council District 8. Dr. Campos on number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Today's bid, we did receive 4 bids in total. Again, this is for the 74th Street Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 1 in Council District 8. City has estimated the project to be at $8,704,580. The first bid received is from MNR Construction Incorporated for a total bid amount of $17,326,000 even. That's 17326. 000 from M&R Construction Incorporated. For the record, line item number 11, also line item number 16 has been lined out by the contractor and both lines have been initialed. The second bid is from Spinello Infrastructure West Incorporated for a total bid amount of $12,104,270 even. That's 12104,270 from Spinello Infrastructure West Incorporated. The third bid received for this project is from Mike Perlich and Sons Incorporated for a total bid amount of $11,716,925 even. That's 11716,925 from Mike Perlich and Sons Incorporated. The fourth and final bid received for this project is from JR Pipeline Company Incorporated for a total bid amount of $9,344,965 even. That's 9344965 from JR Pipeline Company Incorporated. Mr. President, that concludes the bid openings for today's agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second to my motion that we order the bids received, opened, and declared? By Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Thank you. Ladies, without objection, that will be the order. Agenda item number 3 has been withdrawn by the Bureau of Engineering. So we'll withdraw number 3. Agenda item number 11, Authority for Expenditure, State Water Resources Control Board, Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting, requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $625,010 to pay for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit fees as required by the California Water Code Section 13260 for the period of July 1, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. Mr. Mayu.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau representatives, and our City Attorney. My name is Ronald Mayuyu, Senior Process Engineer with the LA Sanitation Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. As President James had mentioned, this is a request for the encumbrance of funds to pay the annual National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or NPDES, permit fees as required by the California State Water Resources Control Board for Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. The anticipated fees for fiscal year 2018-19 are $625,000, $625,010. This authority is requested for the period of July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. And as a brief background, Hyperion treats an average of 260 million gallons per day of wastewater, and most of the treated water is discharged through a pipe 5 miles long to Santa Monica Bay. The State Water Resources Control Board has the legal authority to implement the regulations set forth by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency under the Federal Clean Water Act, and the NPDES permit issued by the State Water Resources Control Board to the City of LA allows Hyperion to discharge the treated water to Santa Monica Bay.
Okay. Any questions regarding agenda item number 11? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 11 so you can pay your bill. Is there a second by Commissioner Cabello? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 11. Any issue sending 11 forthwith? We'll send number 11 forthwith. Number 12 is also an authority for expenditure. This is for the Department of Toxic Substances Control, the Bureau of Engineering, and the Office of Accounting, requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $37,203.06 to pay for environmental site assessment fees for the Taylor Yard G2 parcel for the period of October 1, 2017 to June 30th, 2018, essentially last fiscal year. Lindsay Nash, morning.
Good morning, Lindsay Nash with the Bureau of Engineering. The city purchased the Taylor Yard G2 parcel in March of 2017 from Union Pacific Railroad. The city has an agreement with the Department of Toxic Substances Control, a state department, for their oversight during the site investigations and remediation at the G2 parcel. These three invoices, which total $37,203.96, are for the Department of Toxic Substances Control's oversight and supervision, billed on a time and materials basis during site assessment plan preparation and site assessment work at the G2 parcel. This work is between October 1st, 2017 and June 30th, 2018. We are asking for authority to pay these outstanding invoices. The DTSC is providing regulatory approval of the city's site assessment and remediation work, so there are no prior approvals by the city for the DTSC build scope.
Great, thank you. Any questions from Ms. Nash? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 12, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 12. Any issue sending 12 forthwith? We'll send number 12 forthwith. Thank you, ma'am. Agenda item number 13, a bid withdrawal. Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Administration Building Heating, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning Replacement Project, recommending that the board approve the request of Green Building Corporation to withdraw their bid submitted on November 7th, 2018, in connection with the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Administration Building Heating, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning Replacement Project, with the understanding that in accordance with the Public Contracting Code, the Board of Public Works will not accept a bid from Green Building Corporation in the event that this project is re-advertised. Jesus Fontamillas.
Good morning, President James and Commissioners. We did investigate Green Building's claim of clerical error, and it does substantiate that, their paperwork does substantiate that they made a mistake and they want to withdraw. So, move to withdraw. And with any other project specific, the project managers here.
So I apologize. I didn't ask for this before, but do we have a summary of all the bids that we received?
Yes. We have these. Can distribute it.
Yeah, can I just glance at it?
Being able to come during the holiday season and be present for this meeting. So what I wanted to do, even though we don't have quorum, I want to go ahead and start with the discussion so we can look through our agenda. So why don't we do this? We have to table item number 2.
So they're the low bid by about $500,000. What was the city's estimate?
The city estimate is 2.9.
So either way, all the bids are high.
All the bids are high.
Is the Bureau of Engineering still working this up to bring this to a contract award with this bidder out of the process, or is the Bureau of Engineering considering re-advertising?
That one, I will let the PM answer that question.
Good morning, Ms. So.
Good morning. Amy So with the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. And the city is considering re-advertising the project based on the bids received. The bids are still under review, so that review process is not yet completed, but it is, re-advertising is something that we are considering.
It's a possibility. Okay. All right. And Mr. Jordan, you've looked at this, and the excuse, for lack of a better term, that is provided by Green Building Corporation meets the legal requirements for them to be able to withdraw?
Yes, I have looked at the request to withdraw. It does meet the criteria set forth in the Public Contract Code, and the request was timely under the Public Contract Code. Those are both, equally important requirements.
Okay. And if the Bureau of Engineering re-advertises as it's stated in the agenda announcement, they are precluded from bidding, correct?
If the board accepts the withdrawal and they withdraw their bid, yes, they will be precluded from rebidding.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 13, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Jacinto. Thank you both. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 13. Any issue sending 13 forthwith? We'll send 13 forthwith. Agenda item number 14, Transportation Project Status Update, Metropolitan Transit Authority and Department of Transportation. Mr. Clark. Happy holidays, sir.
Yes, happy holidays to yourself and the board. So this is our quarterly update for the new members of the board. Metro comes once a quarter to give an overall status of our projects, particularly with emphasis on impacts in the city of Los Angeles and upcoming items that may be coming to this board. So we cover our mega projects. Sammy Galley, who some of you may know, is over our senior executive officer who manages these projects, but we'll give presentations from each of the project managers, starting with the Purple Line and Section 1 with the project manager, Jim Cohen.
Good morning, Mr. President, Board. My name is Jim Cohen. I'm the project manager for Section 1 of the Purple Line. As you are well aware, the Purple Line is made up of 3 sections. Section 1 is just a hair under 4 miles with 3 stations. Next slide, please. We pick up the existing end of the Purple Line at Wilshire Western. We construct the station at Wilshire La Brea, Wilshire Fairfax, and our final station for Section 1 is at Wilshire La Cienega, just within the city of Beverly Hills boundary. Our final design is 100% complete. Overall progress of the job is 43%. We are a tad over $3.1 billion is our budget. Revenue service forecast fall of 2023. Some details on Wilshire La Brea Station. TBM is up and running. We actually tunneled about 1,600 feet heading from Wilshire La Brea towards Wilshire Western, where we'll take both machines out, truck them back to Wilshire La Brea, put them back in the ground, and head them west to Fairfax and La Cienega. This is a little outdated. Actually, TBM2 is actually underway. We've tunneled about 200 feet in for TBM number 2. As the lower photograph shows, we're already starting some of the interior walls in the crossover section. So tunnel operations are underway, and we're starting to fit out the rest of the station box. The upper right photograph is just showing we're removing some struts, and the lower right just shows you our North La Brea yard, where we have a bunch of the precast tunnel liners pre-staged there to be lowered into the tunnel and placed by the TBM machine. Next slide, please. At Wilshire Fairfax, our installation of the canopy and soil nails is complete on the easterly end. Heavy excavation and lagging has resumed after a short hiatus, and dewatering activities continue. The lower left photograph is showing you the canopy and soil nail operation. That's the interface where the tunnel TBM will be coming in, heading from the east to the west, and that's where it will break through the tunnel. The upper right photograph just shows you some stair towers that we're using to access the station box, and the lower is the location of the future Fairfax station, but that's down to excavation, the final grade right now. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions from the board or the president?
Well, we've been having a sidebar over here, Mr. Cohen, and Commissioner Cabello and I have a wager going on what a soil nail is.
Okay.
Soil nail.
We have to, in that area where the TBM breaks through the wall, we have to make sure that the material going through is secure enough that we don't cause any settlement on the earth above. So a soil nail is some plastic that are drilled and then grouted in. We use plastic so when the TBM cuts through, it doesn't destroy the cutter head. So it's a technique to secure the soil, make it a little stronger, so we have a nice clean cut as that TBM enters that box.
Some things are amazingly self-explanatory. It nails down the soil. So thank you for the explanation. That's very helpful for us.
Okay. Thank you all.
Any questions for Mr. Cohen before we move along to Mr. Clark? Mr. Clark. Thank you, sir.
West, Section 2. Mike McCann.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners. Section 2 of the Purple Line is the next 2.59 miles going west into the city of Beverly Hills and back into the city of Los Angeles. About 85% of the alignment is in the city of Beverly Hills, but more than half of the construction will take place in the city of Los Angeles, in Century City. Right now, we're about 87% complete on final design, and design is progressing very well. We've had a lot of support from the city family reviewing our contractor's final design, and that coordination has been exemplary on this project. We're about 14% complete on construction. We've really just started construction in Century City. I'll get to that in a second with some photographs. Our total project budget is $2.53 billion, and our revenue service date is 2025, with a contractual date with the federal government to complete before the end of 2026. So this next slide shows you where most of the work is occurring in Century City. For the new commissioners, we've structured the work in Century City to target the eastern end of the station first. We refer to it as the launch box. It's the eastern 200 feet of the station. And so we prioritized utility relocations in that area so that we could get that portion of the excavation down first so that we could launch the tunnel boring machines going east into Beverly Hills. So you can see from the map all the tall buildings around us, the number of stakeholders that we have to communicate on a day-to-day basis about what we're doing over there. It's a very busy part of the city. We understand that and respect that. And the shaded areas off to the right on Century Park East are the staging areas that we're using to support construction in Century City. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see some of the activity that's ongoing right now. For the launch box, there are 88 soldier piles. These are the vertical steel elements that comprise the excavation support system for the station box. As of yesterday, we're about 85. I think we have 85 of the piles done, so we should be done in the next week or so with the last 3 piles before Christmas. I want to extend our thanks to this board for the approval of the full closure that we had in Constellation Boulevard to facilitate the construction of the launch box. So the next step after we get the instrumentation installed will be the decking of the launch box and then the excavation of it. So later this week on Friday, city staff will be coming back with Metro supporting them for a separate item related to resetting the start date of the full closure to the actual start date. So we had a 9-month closure that was approved by this board, and we're looking to ask the board for permission to change the official start date to coincide with when we actually close the street.
And we'll discuss this in more detail perhaps when you're back in on the closure, the extension of the start date in essence. But I'm there fairly frequently in that area, and it was obvious that it had been pushed back. It's pretty clear to everybody that works there that the date had been pushed back. They may not necessarily know the details as to why, but the outreach there, some of it happens on its own because these people are coming in and out every day. But just a brief summary of the outreach done, so the extension of the closure is ready.
Right, and we've done a few things with the outreach with the local stakeholders too, where once the closure started, we were observing traffic in the area, and there were a couple of buildings that were having slight difficulty during the rush hours with traffic going in and out of their parking structures. So we used LAPD's COAST program to bring some motor officers out there during rush hour to help direct traffic to make it easier for those tenants to get in and out of their parking lot during the closure. Especially during the holiday season with the mall just down the street, traffic tends to be a little bit tighter in Century City. So we've been doing our best to maintain that positive relationship with all of the building owners and the tenants in the Century City area.
And again, just my experience, some of the buildings, like if you look at the Twin Towers at 2049 and 2029, used to, if you're a visitor, you had to go in the Constellation entrance. They've now appeared to have opened it up to allow visitors to go in off of Olympic as well to ease some of that ingress and egress in the morning.
Yeah, that property is one of the key stakeholders that we have to coordinate with traffic. So I think that's been going very well, as you said.
Great.
So our next slide, you can see an aerial view of the full closure with the piling activities. I'll point out the building at the top of that photo on the left is the former Auto Club building that we are now leasing for construction of the project. So we're in the process of initiating tenant improvements for that space so that the project can move in there. So the first building that we tunnel underneath on Section 2 of the Purple Line will actually be our field office. Since September, we've received major components of the tunnel boring machines in Century City. So at 2040 Century Park East, behind the walls, if you were to look on the other side of the wall, you'd see the tunnel boring machines in pieces waiting till next summer for when the contractor will assemble them in the launch box. And I'm also happy to report that the major civil portion of the utility relocations that Metro is responsible for this contract has completed. We still have cable pulling and splicing for LADWP and for AT&T to progress over the next year, but this was a huge success for the project, and we couldn't have done it without all the support we had from the Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Okay, thank you.
So that's all I have unless there are any questions.
Any questions on our Section 2 before we go to Section 3? All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Clark.
Good morning, President James and Commissioners. The last segment of the Purple Line extension is Section 3, and this is approximately 2.5 miles. It will extend from Century City to West LA. We have 2 stations at UCLA and the VA.
Irene, before you leave, I just realized, I'm sitting here, I've got an opportunity because you're here in our hearing room to say thank you to you for your years in city service. Irene's the Chief of Staff for Council District 2, and I understand you're leaving at the end of the year. Let me just say, at least while I can surprise you as you try to exit the room, that we just really appreciate all of your hard work at the city, your partnership with the work that we do in Public Works and with all of our bureaus and our entire department and our board, and your support in so many things will be around the city for a very long time. We know you're not going too far away, but I had the chance to catch you and just say publicly during our session this morning, thank you very much. Commissioner Cabello?
Thank you, President James. You almost slipped right past me. Thank you, President James, also for recognizing Irene. I just want to thank you as well for your years of city service, your friendship, your guidance, and I will miss you terribly. Thank you for all you've done for the Department of Public Works and for the city in general, and the city will not be the same without you.
Thank you for stopping in on what might have been a tour this morning, but thank you, Irene. All right, we'll talk soon, yeah. Go right ahead. I'm sorry, I had to catch him while he was here.
Thank you. So just to pick up, we do have two stations, one at UCLA and one at the Veterans Administration Hospital. And our projected budget is approximately $3.7 billion. On the next slide, this is just an update where we are with the project. Since this is the last segment of the Purple Line, we are a little further behind the other two. Currently, we are in procurement for our two major contracts. We split the work. One is a tunnel contract, and the other one is the station's track work and systems contract. So currently, for our tunnel contract, we have issued our contractor a notice of award, and subject to approval of our last environmental document, then we'll be able to proceed with that work. And then the last contract we have, the station's track work and systems contract, that one is currently in procurement, and we're in a blackout period. And that award and the start of the work is subject to approval by the Federal Transit Administration, approval of our full funding grant agreement. And as far as the current work, if you are on the west side of LA, we are doing advanced utility work. As part of progressing and keeping the project on schedule, we identified critical utilities that can take a while to do. So as part of our work, we have what we call an advanced utility contract that we commenced work earlier this calendar year, and we're currently approximately 57% completed. And I would like to extend thanks to the city departments who have been very supportive in the approvals that we have needed to keep the work on track. So thank you very much. So that concludes the update for Section 3. And are there any questions?
Great, thank you. Commissioner Davis on Section 3.
Yeah, I might have missed it, but when is the anticipated completion of Section 3?
The anticipated completion date is 2027. So for in terms of the year completion and the budget, that is also part of our full funding grant agreement, which is currently in the works.
Thank you. No more questions? Mr. Clark.
The Federal Transit Administration has recommended us for the first $100 million of that full funding grant agreement. That makes the likelihood that we will get the full funding agreement very high. And we've been very successful with the federal government. Each of the sections of the Purple Line have full funding grant agreements. The Regional Connector does. Crenshaw has a TIFIA loan. And this will be the next big project that we feel pretty confident we're going to get that full funding grant agreement. So I know a lot of people were involved in that. A lot of people, including up to the mayor, had lobbied the federal government for it, and it seems to be paying off.
We're very excited about that, Mr. Clark. And also, if recognizing that the odds look good, as you described, assuming we get there, would the full funding agreement, would that be completed in 2019?
The full funding grant agreement we expect to get executed this spring.
Okay.
And in fact, this station's track and systems contract that Kimberly talked about, we're planning to go to our board in January or February to get approval for that contract, subject to receiving the full funding grant agreement. That's why we really do need it this year.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. No further questions.
Thank you.
I know the board is interested in business interruption fund for our projects. This gives you some basic information. The business interruption fund is a program where small businesses affected by construction can apply for some compensation, and we go through our criteria, and you can see we awarded some significant amounts on all our projects, over $18 million now.
do have people here who can answer any questions if you have it on the BIF.
Any questions on the Business Interruption Fund? Okay, we can come back to it if some develop.
And Gary Baker's going to present the Regional Connector Project.
Mr. Baker.
Good morning, President James and Commissioners. I'm glad to give you a brief update on Regional Connector. As you know, Regional Connector is approximately 2 miles of underground tunnel that connects the Gold Line to the Expo Line and the Blue Line. So it'll provide a one-seat ride north-south or east and west. It consists of 3 new stations. One is a replacement station for the current Little Tokyo station. We're expected to attract 90,000 riders a day, and 17,000 of those will be new riders. So it's a very exciting project and one that's really important to the transit system. Just turning over to the next slide, just through a series of pictures, give you kind of a brief overview of what's happening along the project. We have completed the tunneling on this project. We finished that in January of this year. And you can just see some work going on there. We're pouring the floor, or we call it the invert of the tunnel. There's a lot of additional work has to be done in a tunnel once it's completed. And so you see some of those activities going on there. Then turning over to the next sheet are a few pictures from the Little Tokyo station. So this is one of the 3 new stations. You can just see some, this underground work is at the underground at Alameda Street and First. And so that's where the 2 gold lines will join and proceed down Little Tokyo. So you can see some work going on there. So if you recall, a couple years ago, we had a series of closures to make this possible, and that went pretty well. Probably the middle or third quarter of next year, we'll be coming before the board with a series of closures to kind of build back what we've excavated. So,
Gary, what months are you thinking?
Most likely third quarter next year.
Okay.
So I don't have a precise date. It depends on a lot of progress, but that's our target. And so we're trying to do these station restorations at different times so we don't have a significant impact. And this will be the first restoration project to be completed. And turning over to the next page is the historic Broadway station. This is on 2nd Street between Spring and Broadway. We've completed the last of the invert or the floor pours in this long station. You can see some of the pictures there. It's a massive excavation, a lot of exciting work going on here, and represents a significant part of the Regional Connector project. So work is proceeding on schedule at this location, even though there are very complex elements to this construction. Including at the next slide is a cavern construction which is adjoining that station. And there's a photo there of a very unique construction method to build a cavern, which is just a big open room for a crossover. And so that work, both the left and right drifts there are completed. We're starting to remove the center sections there. That's also a very exciting part of this work. Things are going as planned. We're fully engaged with the City Bureau of Engineering in the excavation and daily monitoring of this work.
You know, as you'll remember, Mr. Baker, we had lots of discussions around the Sim Cavern for a number of months, and it's really interesting to see it now at this stage, because before we just try to, at least lay folks like us, try to imagine it, and here we are. It's fascinating and the work that it does.
It's gone surprisingly well. A lot of planning involved in this, as you alluded to. So. And we've worked well, I think, with the city in resolving and answering their questions, especially with respect to settlements and movements, ground movements and things. So everything is working as predicted. So invite any of you out for a tour. I always like to make that.
Well, now that you've mentioned it, okay. We were just a little sidebar over here. I know that commissioners, you were so gracious in hosting Commissioner Repenning and myself last summer with some of our interns, a lot of our interns, frankly. I know Commissioners Cabello and Garcia would be interested in some of the same tour that we received with the tunneling and the Sim Cavern and some of that may be available.
I can reach out and schedule those.
Great.
I look forward to that. And then next slide is our Bunker Hill Station at Grand Avenue Arts Bunker Hill Station. And so there's concreting work is proceeding at all of our stations. This one is furthest ahead. You can see actually we're pouring the concourse deck, so this is the second level there. So work is proceeding. This is our deepest station, over 100 feet deep here, so it's a massive excavation and reconstruction project. Work is going on schedule there as well. And then finally, our work on Flower Street. So this is approximately 1,400 feet of open cut excavation, so we are fully underground here. This extends from 4th Street all the way down to 7th and Metro Station between Wilshire and 6th. So you can see work is proceeding. At the north end, we have concreting activities going on. South end, we're still doing utility hanging. That one photo you see there is the replacement of the main sewer that goes down Flower Street that we're renewing in increments as we excavate south. So again, I think since we're underground, all the impacts of the city and the traffic are largely mitigated. And so we'll be focused here for the next 2 years on this construction effort. And then the final slide, or next to this final slide, we have just community outreach. That remains an important element of all of these projects. And we remain engaged specifically with Little Tokyo Station in this slide. Through the Little Tokyo Service Center, we're helping small businesses, including online businesses. And then also we continue to promote through the Eat, Shop, and Play program a multitude of businesses in that area and other areas. So again, that remains an important part of our outreach. And then finally, as was just shown, this Business Interruption Fund. I would just extend what Rick said earlier. The total BIF grants on all projects awarded an additional 37 grants in the past 3 months, and so I think that represented about $1.1 million since the last report. And on Little Tokyo, we continue to we're in kind of a quiet period there, so we don't have as many grants at the Little Tokyo area. But we did award one additional grant for about $30,000 since we last reported. So,
thank you, Mr. Baker, for the update, and also just a thank you to your team for the ongoing, probably constant work with Film LA in arranging what is the busiest section of our city for on-location filming in a production boom in the middle of all these construction projects. The amount of coordination is remarkable. And I also want to thank the council office as well. I mean, the coordination is, it's amazing that the industry is still has been able to operate as it has, along with your ability to build the project you're building. And we certainly appreciate it, and it is definitely noticed.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis.
The regional connector is that area of transportation, rail transportation, where we can access the entire system. Is that pretty accurate in terms of the usage of the entire system can be realized?
Yes, it will interconnect the Gold Line coming from Pasadena area or all the way from Azusa today, and we'll link it for a one-seat ride to all the way to Long Beach. So the Gold Line and the current Blue Line will be linked together, as well as the east-west route linking the Expo Line with the east side Gold Line extension.
So it basically will link all aspects of the system. They meet here at the regional connector. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes.
And there are individual stations that afford the access to certain lines within the whole system, basically. Correct?
Well, it would still connect. You would still connect with the heavy rail, the red line and purple lines at either Union Station or 7th and Metro. But yes, the light rail systems in downtown, it does interconnect and provides 3 new stations, or 2 new stations and 1 replacement station at Little Tokyo.
So when we, as I've looked at the map, we can access a connect from one line to another in certain stations. There is no one station that will give me access to all the lines in terms of connecting, right?
7th and Metro is the real hub, as well as Union Station.
Okay, Metro Center. Okay, gotcha. That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay. What is the anticipated date of completion for the regional connector in particular?
So construction will be completed the winter season of 2021-2022. So we have 3 more years of construction.
Great.
And then there's a process of commissioning the system once construction is finished.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. And Gary, thank you for this report. All the reports have been great to date, Rick. They've been excellent. And to see all the sort of work and collaboration that we have to do with all our different bureaus. So this is really positive. Thank you for also including the jobs created. And since you did that, and I know that, we here in the city, especially in Public Works, have our project labor agreements. We really like to understand the local return and how many jobs, whether it be apprentice. And so at the next one, not now, but at the next quarterly, if we could ask, if I could ask for a courtesy report on jobs and employment. Because I'd like to know out of these about 11,400, how many of these, what zip codes do they come from? Are they LA County folks? Are they coming, you know what I mean? Just sort of that local impact. If we could do that, Rick, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Thank you.
Great holiday to you and all of your colleagues as well. Mr. Clark?
Good morning.
Morning, Ms. Leslie.
As you know, the Crenshaw alignment is an 8.5 alignment running north-south, connecting our Expo line at the north end to our Green line at the south end. We are currently estimating completion in summer of 2020, and we are also estimating about 89% complete with construction right now. This is a photograph of the Expo station, and I'm sure as you're all aware, we just finished our restoration process, finishing the backfill over our 3 station boxes at Vernon, MLK, and at Exposition. And like my predecessors, I too would like to thank the city, especially the Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Construction Administration, for their cooperation, coordination, and assistance with Metro, close working relationship with Metro and with our contractor. So thank you again. This photograph, let me back up, please, Rich. This photograph, as I said, was at the Expo station. Even though we have finished our restoration, the restoration process really focused on getting all of the improvements done within the travelway and underneath the travelway. So this work here is still going on, still have some backfill to complete, but this is going on beyond and behind the K-rail. So this is off limits to the public and work that's going on in the background. This photograph is taken from our Martin Luther King station. And again, even though we finished the restoration work, this is additional work, continuation of construction of our at-grade and roofs, our roof level walls to finish out the station plaza. So again, this work is being completed behind K-rail and behind the gawk screens that the public does not have access to. Here's a photograph of our UG4 structure, and this is the transition structure taking us from the Vernon station to ground level at 48th Street. So going on right now, I don't think it's shown in this photograph, we're putting in a lot of our emergency lighting, our electrical systems. Most of the conduit work has been put in through our concrete pours, but some of the surface conduits are going in now.
These are photographs taken from our west station, and that's one of 4 of our at-grade stations. In the far background, you can see the canopies at the platform level of our stations, but what's going on here in the foreground is installation and erection of our platforms and canopies, installation of our canopies over the ticket vending areas. And moving south down the alignment, this is at our Century Aviation Station, and again, erection and installation of some of the structures for our ticket vending areas. And lastly, for our Business Interruption Fund, here are the statistics for Crenshaw. To date, we've awarded 447 grants for a total of $9.9 million.
So half of the awards, and roughly half of the awards have gone for Crenshaw, which I'm going to think really both Ms. Leslie and Mr. Clark, that has somewhat to do with the fact that Crenshaw's farther along, I would think, yeah.
But also the corridor really is made up of
Small businesses too, when you look at what you're interrupting. Yeah. So it's, the Business Interruption Fund in many ways was built just for the type of project that this project is.
Right, the Business Interruption Fund, it's geared towards small businesses, mom and pop businesses, maximum, I believe, of 25 employees. So a lot of the businesses along the other corridors, they would not qualify.
They're larger, yeah, downtown especially, yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
also a great application for that program.
Well, I know Commissioner Davis has spoken to this many times. We appreciate the opportunity of the fund is provided to the community, and you're working with our various offices when we had specific instances of assistance that was needed kind of along the way with the fund. So thank you, Commissioner Jacinto, and then Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, President James. Ms. Leslie, thank you for this report on Crenshaw. So because we do the permitting and the closures of the closures, I think one thing our board has been really focused on, and it's been a partnership with Metro, is to understand how we complete the scope of work, all the punch list items that our general contractor has as a responsibility to Metro and to the taxpayers to complete. And I'll reiterate again, and I understand that we requested from the contractor on Crenshaw the sort of schedule on how to complete the various, numerous, and chunked up in terms of all the punch list items. And as Crenshaw, as the area is going to be going under other further developments and projects, it's so important that everybody, we're all in this together, the city, the contractor, and Metro, that we all coordinate all this work in the public right away so we can accomplish everything in a timely fashion. So I'm gonna ask for really the partnership and the leadership of Metro to work well with the prime contractor on this Crenshaw segment to really stitch that up. And they've been before us and they've appeared. And I don't think that we've received a level of detail in the scheduling that is commensurate to the project and to the schedule. So I'm going to push and get us to a point where we understand exactly what they're going to be doing and when, so we can coordinate with the rest of the city and what we're going to be doing on Crenshaw in Council District 8 especially too. So that's just a preview, but thank you for your leadership on this and help keeping that tight.
Well, as a follow-up to the last time our contractor came to the board, they have submitted to us a detailed schedule. We received that last week, so we are still in the process of reviewing it and seeing if we're comfortable that all of the work that remains has been included in that schedule. So that process is ongoing, but I believe the contractor is also scheduled to come back on Monday of next week, the 17th, and report on that schedule and share with you the details and timeline for completion of the work.
Very good. Thank you. We'll look forward to that as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
On our radar screen at Metro, yesterday Phil Washington, our CEO, brought it up to the contractors, two owners, and it's our commitment that this work will be finished and completed, and we'll continue to report to you on
Thank you, all, and thank you, Commissioner Cento. Commissioner Davis?
Given our recent conversation, the anticipated goal of completion on the Crenshaw line is what currently?
We're looking at summer of 2020.
Okay. And in terms of the interruptions, are we able to complete the project within that goal without further stoppages of traffic along the way, or we don't know?
We're still looking at the schedule that we received last week from the contractor, and they have some things in there that we hadn't discussed previously, so we still have to have discussions with them. Our discussion with them, though, prior to receiving that schedule was that any work that remains should be able to be completed either behind K-rail or with lane closures, but not with full closures of the street like we've been doing for the last 5 months. So that was our understanding, and that's one of the things that we're looking at as we look at this new schedule that was just given to us.
Great.
Expo and the other two station locations were primarily because they had to take the deck panels off. All the work went on underneath those deck panels. So it needed a full street closure to take them off and backfill and rebuild the street. So as Stephanie said, we don't anticipate any full closures like that. We will need periodic lane closures so they can go back and fix some of the things that are on the punch list.
Sure. Sure, and I realize in terms of working with the Bureau of Engineering that there will be requirements unforeseen on behalf of the prime contractor that we will have to confront after being reviewed by BOE and maybe in some circumstances from contract administration or unforeseen actions happen from those two agencies as we progress towards trying to complete our goal. So I do recognize that. I was under the impression from the last presentation from the prime contractor before the board that they had hopes that even though there would be some unforeseen challenges because it's the nature of this work, that they hoped that they could complete this work without any big interruptions in the future. But, you know, again, it is what it is. I do want to observe that when we look at this project, this particular quarter, as it relates to business interruption fund, that we've done pretty good this quarter and not had any major discussions with the businesses. So I want to commend you for being able to effectively manage, and I just do it on a quarter-to-quarter basis, that on this quarter we've done really, I think, an outstanding job at managing the business interruption fund. And again, as you have said, it is so critically important to this particular region because of the nature of the kinds of businesses that we have, which more than likely are small businesses. So I want to commend you for the work that we've done with that this quarter.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
That subject, and again, it's also critical to our CEO. He insisted with the contractor that closure at Expo end before the holidays, mainly because of the impact it would have on the businesses there.
Sure. Well, I appreciate we were able to fulfill our promise on the Thanksgiving interruption, and we were able to get through during Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you.
And if I could clarify my statement a little earlier, I may have misspoken a little bit. There will still be closures, but again, we're anticipating lane closures, but also some night closures and weekend closures, but not long-term like we've been experiencing. I just don't want you to be surprised if you get requests from the contractor.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Leslie. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. No further questions. Mr. Clark, is that it for our presentations this morning? Thank you. The oral report will be received. Have a happy holiday season to all of you and your team, everyone at Metro, and we'll see you in the next quarter. Agenda item number 4 is a task order solicitation number 22, Los Angeles River Way, San Fernando Valley Completion Project, Council Districts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the task for solicitation number 022 to Gruen and Associates, increasing the budget authority from $2,030,492 to $7,322,836. Mr. Mullis.
Good morning. Nur Malhus, Bureau of Engineering, Civil Engineer, Architecture Division. So this project is the LA Riverway San Fernando Valley Completion Project. It's scheduled to complete, design, and construct 13 miles of bikeway gap along the LA River in the San Fernando Valley from Van Alden all the way to Forest Lawn. The whole project consists of a Class 1 bike path, 12-foot bike path, landscaping, fencing, lighting, undercrossings, roadway crossings, bridges, and pocket parks and other interpretive elements and site amenities. This is part of the objective of Eric Arcedi, Directive Number 7, to complete the river trail system, the LA River Revitalization Master Plan, as well as other types of plans. Now, this is, as part of this project, we initially started this project in January of 2016. We released a task order solicitation to 20 on-call architecture on the 20 architects on the on-call architecture list to provide proposal for a feasibility study, environmental review and documentation, as well as all design for these 13 miles of bike path. They submitted their proposals, and we asked them to only give proposals for a feasibility study and environmental review and documentation. And when we were done, that selected consultant was done with the feasibility study, then they would be able to fill in their costs for the remaining phases. So 5 consultants submitted their proposal. Essentially, Gruen was selected, and their fees were negotiated for $2 million, $2,030,000 for just the feasibility study and full environmental review and documentation. However, we asked them only to do a feasibility study and also just a kind of a feasibility level environmental review. To give you a grand overall picture of the project, which I should have mentioned earlier, is that in the San Fernando Valley, we have 19 miles along the LA River. And in the city of LA is 32 miles, and the ultimate goal is to build 51 miles of bike path all the way from the heart of the valley, Owens Mouth, all the way to Long Beach. So right now, our big project is 13 miles. So we finished the feasibility study for the 13 miles of bike path gaps. And part of the feasibility study was just to determine the alignment. We looked at things like right-of-way, utilities, technical issues. And after that, the city decided to move forward with having Gruen Associates do the design for just the first 2 segments that we're designing, a 3-mile segment from Van Alden all the way to Balboa. We negotiated their fees, and the total fees for that, including the environmental services, is about $5.4 million. So originally, our original board report, which was approved in September 2016, was for $2 million. It's now increased to $7.3 million, which includes contingency and all the different costs which are located in the table of the board report. In terms of the business inclusion program requirements, they have 13 sub-consultants for this effort, and for MEB, their participation was 19.4%, WEB 4.69%, SPE 29%, EBE 6.7%, DVBE 2.1%. And funding for this effort is coming from multitude of sources: LADOT, sanitation, Recreation and Park, Proposition K, LA County, and other sources that we're trying to find through grant applications. Completion of this project would be a big deal, especially this segment from Van Alden all the way to Balboa, because it'll essentially complete the West San Fernando Valley. Because on either side, or on, I guess you could say on the west sides of these, you have LADOT designing about a 1.8-mile stretch, and then you also have the Bureau of Engineering, which has completed 1.5-mile stretch already. So total will be about 6 miles that we'll complete. Once this gets completed, it'll be 6 miles total, and then we'll complete the West San Fernando Valley, which will lead to the Sepulveda Basin.
Great. Thank you for the explanation, Mr. Miles. Very helpful. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James, and Noor, thank you for this report. This is a big deal. It's a big, significant project for our LA River, and did a good job in contextualizing this in Executive Director 7. sustainability plan, the mayor's envision of revitalizing LA River as a recreational aspect of just improving the quality of life for our residents. I want to talk a little bit about the funding. In page 6, you talk a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about the status of funding for this?
Yes, so in regards to this table, currently with all the funding sources we have $5.28 million dedicated for this effort, which includes costs for the feasibility study. The remaining $2,037,000 will be from future funding from LA County. LA County will give us another $1.5 million once some environmental review and documentation is complete. We have a cooperative agreement with them. And then we're also trying to get other sources, perhaps Prop K or other grant application we can use for design. However, it's important to note that we will not issue a notice to proceed unless we have that funding available. So we're going to move forward logically with the design development, start with schematic design phase, which we're doing right now. We had an NTP for $95,000, and once we get this board report approved, then we could continue with the remaining, and then design development. We have enough money till about 50% construction documents. We're hoping by that time we'll be able to secure other funds because that's what we're applying for that right now. And of course, if not, we will not continue.
Okay. So we have a strategic plan moving forward and how we'll continue the type of work that we can do, and then when the construction documents and the actual construction funds come in to do the project, we'll do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Norm.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Davis.
I wanted to talk about the business inclusion effort that you have performed in here. You want to just give me a brief summary from your perspective about what we've done?
Yes, so in terms of the participation levels, we hit the MEB, WEB, and SBE. For the emerging business enterprise, we have an 8% goal. We only have 6.7%. We just missed it shortly. On disadvantaged veteran business enterprise, we have 3% is the goal, but we only have 2.16%. And the reason, I would say the reason for this is, I guess, some of the subs that we chose, we didn't have enough emerging business enterprise. Maybe it was hard to find for those subs. But the good news is that the small business, WEB and MEB, were hit.
Great, and I want to commend you. I've begun to see some increase of our accomplishments in business inclusion, and this is one such example. And I always knew that we could reach this kind of inclusion on many of our projects, and I do realize at the same time that there are some that we cannot. But more than likely, we can continue to do what you have done here today. And you've done a comprehensive job, very representative of what's in the market. And so I just want to, even though I always ask you questions about it, I want to compliment you for the work that you have done on this. And I hope that we'll be able to continue this. I'm really pleased with our results.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Anything further? That sounded like a motion from Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Thank you, sir. Nice job.
Thank you.
Any issue sending 4 forthwith? We will send number 4 forthwith. Agenda item number 8, street lighting and contract administration in Council District 13. It's a contract award, Lemon Grove Lighting Phase 2 project. Recommending that the board declare Servatech Electric Incorporated, Elecnor Belco Electric Incorporated, Thomas International Company, KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dyne Electric, and Comet Electric Incorporated, which are the first to the 5th low bidders respectively, to be non-responsive as discussed in the report. Secondly, waive the signature and notarization irregularities on the signature sheet and affidavit submitted by VT Electric and accept their revised affidavit as discussed in the report. Third, declare VT Electric, which is the 6th low bidder, to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award VT Electric a contract in the amount of $184,844. Fourth, forward a copy of the report to the affected council district office. And fifth, authorize myself or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract for the project upon approval of all required documents by the city attorney. Mr. Nguyen is here, and Ms. McGlinchey from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, President James and Commissioners. This street lighting project will install a new LED street lighting system on Lemon Grove between Serrano Avenue and Western Avenue, and also on Oxford Avenue between Lemon Grove and Romaine Street. A total of 13 new concrete poles will be installed on this project. Financing for this project is funded by the Street Lighting Maintenance Assessment Fund and will be later reimbursed by federal funds under the Transportation Community and System Preservation Program. Bids were received on July 11th, 2018. Bureau of Contract Administration had rejected the first 5 low bidders for various reasons stated in the report. The Bureau of Street Lighting recommends that the board declare VT Electric the 6th low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award VT Electric the contract for this project.
Any questions on agenda item number 8? I don't have any questions. Ms. McGlinchey, anything you wanted to add to the record? The board report's got the explanations, so you're good? Okay. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 8. Thank you both. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Agenda item number 5, Council District 5, above ground facilities hardship waiver and variance 11002 North Rose Avenue. Recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height requirement of the above ground facilities ordinance per Los Angeles Municipal Code section 6208 VB. Secondly, approve the request for a hardship waiver from the below grade requirement of the AGF ordinance pursuant to LA Municipal Code section 62082A. And third, authorize mobility to install a 40-foot high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 11002 North Rose Avenue. Mr. Masuda.
Good morning. I'm Matt Masuda, Senior Civil Engineer for the Central District of the Bureau of Engineering. We received this request for variance to the maximum height requirement and hardship waiver to the below grade requirement of the above ground facilities ordinance from Mobility. They propose to install a 40-foot high wood monopole adjacent to 11002 North Rose Avenue to mount wireless communication antennas which operate on line-of-sight technology that must be placed at locations higher than the 5-foot 6-inch height limitation to function properly and to meet service coverage objectives. Prior to applying for the permit, Mobility sent first notice letters stating their proposal to the adjacent property owners and to Council District 5. The AGF ordinance requires that 3 conditions be met for the board to grant a variance to the height limitation. 1, the applicant needs to provide suitable measures consistent with this aesthetic guidelines to mitigate for the excessive AGF height. The 40-foot high proposed wood monopole is similar in appearance and color to other wood utility poles in the area, and we deem this acceptable to satisfy condition 1. Condition 2, the applicant needs to demonstrate that no financially or technically acceptable alternative exists that complies with the ordinance. The additional pole height above the maximum height of 5 foot 6 inches is necessary for the facility to transmit a signal using line-of-sight technology. The applicant claims that no financially or technically acceptable alternative exists that would meet the height requirements of the AGF ordinance. In transmittal number 4, the Bureau of Street Lighting noted that no possible co-location option is available and no existing utility poles in the area were suitable for co-location. So we deem this acceptable to satisfy condition 2. Condition 3, the applicant needs to provide an approval from the Cultural Affairs Commission for the design of the above-ground facility. The proposed installation for the site was approved by the Cultural Affairs Commission on February 18, 2016. Furthermore, this installation is proposed within the West Los Angeles Transportation Improvement and Mitigation Specific Plan, which under the AGF ordinance requires installations to be below surrounding grade. Municipal Code Section 62.08.2B gives the board authority to waive the below grade requirement if it finds that a technical or financial hardship would result from imposing these requirements. Again, in order for the applicant to provide wireless service without interference, the antennas must be installed above ground with line of sight to the intended coverage area. We, the Bureau of Engineering, determined that the site is compliant with the other AGF ordinance requirements and sent second notification letters to adjacent property owners to inform that they have 14 calendar days to appeal our determination. The results of the second notification and adjacent property owners are shown on page 3 of the report. We did not receive any appeals or opposition from the property owners, and Council District 5 has not taken a position with the proposal. Photo simulation of the proposed monopole is shown on page 5 of the report, and you can see that it looks like a utility pole. In conclusion, mobility has met all the conditions required for the variance of the AGF ordinance. Therefore, the Bureau of Engineering recommends that the board approve the variance request for this site. I can now answer any questions you might have, and we also have a representative from mobility if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Masuda. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. I understand you did outreach to the property owners in the adjacent location. However, given the size of the buildings, they look like they could be apartments. There's renters there. Was there any outreach done to the people that actually live in the buildings?
No, outreach was not done. Outreach is done the notice goes to the property owner.
Understood. I think that's something we might want to consider in the future because those are the folks that actually have to live with that.
Right.
It's pretty large. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. Matthew, I have a question. That very transmittal number 4 that you submitted, can you give me a little explanation where in that list this exactly monopole is on that list? I was able to identify it by CD5, but not necessarily it's either the top. I'm just trying to understand if BSL recommended this for a co-location or not.
It's the fourth one down, 2018-013381.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the BSL recommendation in the last column, there's no recommendation. So.
Was there a reason for that?
That I don't. Maybe.
BSL?
We have a representative from Mobility here. Good morning.
My name is Shannon Nichols. I'm the Senior Permitting Manager for the City of Los Angeles for Mobility. There are no actually BSL poles in the area, so they chose not. They don't want just one.
So we don't
site
have any.
Built. There's no poles.
No street lights
No
on
street
that
lights
street?
in the area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are there utility poles? I see.
There are utility poles, but there are high transmission across the street. You can see them. They're high transmission poles, which are co-locations that allowed on those.
Right, understood. But the reason I wanted to know if there were, I see another utility pole in the photo.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I wanted to know if there were utility poles in the area is because then that pole doesn't stand out as much as it would otherwise.
You can see them across the street. That's just kind of a one-off pole that another carrier found and attached to, but there's nothing similar in the area to attach to. We did look for that.
Okay. Commissioner Garcia, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay, definitely. I know that I kind of would want to see if there was a BSL, anybody from BSL know about this exact, Vince, do you know anything about this project? If I want to hear the BSL's recommendation.
I probably have an email I can forward you that where I went back to Vegan and I went back to Fabian and asked him if they were denying co-location on these, and he said yes.
Okay, I think I know in the future I want to see that in writing from BSL, and I get that you guys went through the process, but as we move forward, I would want proof from BSL that there isn't any co-location opportunities.
Right. There probably needs to be a standard put in place and put in writing that
yeah,
this is
we're
something
working
that
on
needs
that.
to be done for AGFs, because currently there's nothing. But yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so but for this specific monopole, there is no co-location opportunity.
No.
BSL, Huey?
Good morning. Hui Huang, Civil Engineer with Central District of Bureau of Engineering. To add to that discussion, this was the first batch of official discussion sites with Bureau Street Lighting regarding co-location options for monopoles with the mobility projects. The format of the decision on no co-location is officially being worked right now for a final setup. So unfortunately for this instance, we had to rely on the informal email as the determination from Bureau of Street Lighting. And as Shannon noted, Bureau of Street Lighting does look into the existing infrastructure in the area to determine if a co-location option is feasible with the existing location. In this case, there was no options because there was no streetlights on that segment of the roadway.
Okay, I understand that. And I know that we're working on getting this process more
Correct.
formalized.
And that is going to come to the full board as a separate item as far as the official Bureau of Street Lighting relocation discussion with the AGF ordinance process.
Okay, thank you. And just a little, just in a separate regard, and I've said it privately, but I'm also going to say it publicly now. If we can work on the design and the aesthetics of this poles to kind of match where we're moving as a city, I would really appreciate that. If you can take that back to your design team, please. I know that I've talked about this privately, but I also want to put it on the record that we really should look at different designs and deserve a better design than the one we have right now. That's all.
Commissioner Garcia, do you want me to hold the item today to give Ms. Nichols time to forward the email, or are you satisfied on the other issue?
I'm satisfied because we had a lot of conversations behind the scenes, so I'm okay with this one.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. And, I also appreciate the discussion. Matt, thank you for the report. Shannon, it's good to see you here. We are enhancing, we're deepening, we're strengthening our AGF above-ground facility process. So I appreciate Commissioner Garcia's leadership in bringing our Bureau of Street Lighting to work more closely with our Bureau of Engineering to be able to vet and to confirm that there are no co-location. That's the ultimate. And so I appreciate, and I support that as well too. I think that we're in between where this is the email transmittal, and the chart is what we're moving towards, a more formal sign up from BSL. So I'm good with this as well. And I think that in the future, the aesthetics is something that you have to work out in terms of cost analysis, as well as the want of the city to have things in our public right-of-way that are aesthetically better than the palette that we have now, and that's the challenge to industry, and that will remain. So I think, Shannon, if you could go back and really consider that, that is something that we're asking. So I appreciate this, and I'm fine with this because I know where we're headed, and we've vetted it enough, so I think we're ready to go on this. So thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Garcia.
President James, I'm going to retract my statement of saying that I don't want to hold it. I do want to hold it because I'm kind of concerned that we do not have any street lights on that street. I just want to confirm that through BSL. So if we can hold it for a week. I'm going to hold it. I want to ask Fabian, because I'm also not clear with this email, so I want to ask Fabian, and I want to understand why we don't have any street lights. I just want to get the background on this street.
And I just want to add for Commissioner Cabello, I think this is your first time with the above-ground facilities board report, and if you want a briefing about the whole process, and we'll be glad to do that for you.
So are we on any kind of a deadline shot clock on this, such that a week from today is going to be problematic? In other words, do we need to try and move it to Friday to get Commissioner Garcia the time? Or Monday's a heavy agenda day. I'd prefer not to recall this on Monday.
If I may interrupt on this matter, I am looking through Google Street View on that side along the adjacent 2-3 blocks, and there is no existing street light infrastructure along Rose Avenue in this area. And the photo is as recent as 2018 summer. And as far as the reason why that is not a street lighting district or with existing infrastructure, then that would have to go to BSL for an answer. But we wanted to emphasize that for this particular location, we did delay the overall application for about like 4 weeks, in addition to the normal time frame to talk to BSL about the option for the co-location and obtain that official determination from them whether there was a co-location option or not for the site. So we wanted to know that it's already an existing additional delays to the process. So we wanted to bring that to your attention before you decided to extend this one more week. And
I
this
understand.
item, it is in a shot clock, under the shot clock rule because it is a wireless site.
So it's not under a shot clock
It
rule?
is under a shot clock because it is a wireless site.
Okay, but back to my original question, does the additional week that's being requested by Commissioner Garcia cause us to violate the shot clock requirement?
I don't have the exact days with me right now, but if I had to guess, I would say yes. We have generally pretty much exceeded the normal shot clock period, but the applicant was understanding and accommodating to that so that we could address the co-location concerns that Commissioner Garcia had on the matter.
Thank you, Huey, but I think I want to get a briefing from BSL on exactly this item, because I didn't have I wasn't aware that we didn't have any street lights on that. So I just want to get a perimeter briefing of what's going on with this specific item.
So,
I want to say something. The shot clock actually has run out on this, and I did extend it to 15th so we could get this agendized. I'm happy to extend it till next Wednesday. We have another site coming on the board next Wednesday, so that would be convenient.
Okay.
for me.
Okay, then that's fine.
Okay.
Then we'll do that. So we'll extend it to that's the week that you asked for.
Yeah.
Anything else? So we're going to hold over agenda item number 8 to, it's not number
Item
8.
5.
It's number 5, to a week from today. Thank you.
Wednesday, December 19th?
Yes, the 19th. And my goal would be for Commissioner Garcia to have a briefing from Street Lighting, and whatever hearing we have on this item on the 19th would be essentially new information. I would prefer to not recreate the hearing that we already had today. Yeah, okay? Great, thank you. So that'll be the order on agenda item number 5. Agenda item number 6, amendment number 1 to task order solicitation SNA 316-01-DCSE Incorporated, recommending the board authorize the director of the Bureau of Sanitation or his designee to issue amendment number 1 to the existing project task order A316-01 computer technical support with DCSE Incorporated for the amount of $5,511,000, which increases the cost ceiling from $2,700,000 to $8,211,000 and extends the term until April 8th, 2021. Mr. Sales.
Good morning, Mr. President, commissioners, bureau representatives, city attorneys, executive officer. My name is Arthur Salas from LA Sanitation, Information Systems Manager. So Information Systems, Control Systems Division, we maintain an extensive network composed of over 25 sites with over 100 locations. 25 sites, for example, Hyperion, it's one site, but it has multiple buildings to get from point A to point B, so there's some traveling involved. Over 3,000 employees slash users now. This amendment is to extend the existing contract that it got exhausted in October this year. We're asking for an increase of the contract authority that will be good for a projection of 3 years. And the increase mainly is because of the following: cost of living increase. So the contract includes the increase over the 5 years, the previous 2.5 and the succeeding 3 years. There's also an increase of the primary contractor's markup from 5% to 10%. Also, we include some contingencies, and we're also looking to add additional contractors, because in the last year, our users grew from about 2,200 to now 3,200 employees, mainly because our field users who didn't have computer access in the past, they have access now, so they have GML access, they're able to log into our network, and most of these users are not very computer literate, so they require a lot of support. They use a lot of mobility, So part of that increase is to help LA San provide this service. And currently, our PC support group that's working full-time, we only have about 3 staff right now. And these contractors helps us do a better job in providing computer support for LA Sanitation.
Out of the 6, we received the 2 proposals. Any indication from any of the other 6, the other 4 that didn't submit, why they didn't?
They said that they don't have the resources to do this kind of work. The ones that we have now, this is what they do. They're really good at it, and they have. So basically, when we asked them, they didn't have the resources.
Okay. Any other questions on agenda item number 6? Commissioner Cabello has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6. I see that Commissioner Davis has noticed the 40% on the MBE. So that would be a second from Commissioner Davis on agenda item number 6. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Any issue sending number 6 forthwith? We will send number 6 forthwith. Agenda item number 7 is a budget increase, Highway Safety Improvement Project, Cycle 4 and 5, recommending that the board authorize the increase of the contingency for the Highway Safety Improvement Project, Cycles 4 and 5 construction funding by $556.90. And you needed to come to the Board of Public Works today. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr.
This
Kim.
is Joseph Kim from Department of Transportation. This is a highway safety improvement project, HSIP Cycle 4-5. One of the elements is to install a traffic signal at the intersection of Temple Street and Patton Street. The construction has been done, and during the final inspection by the ConNet inspector, a conduit is missing between 2 existing street light poles. And negotiation between ConNet inspector, the contractor, and our construction management, and negotiated a change order number 9 for the cost of $3,755 to install the conduits and related work. Because it's a change order number 9, and cumulative change order from 1 to 8 and push the contingency over the 10% limit that was specified in the contract by $556.90.
That's why you needed to come. Okay.
Yes, that's right, because it exceeded the 10% contingency limit.
Understood. Any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Davis. Thank you, Mr. Kim.
Thank you.
Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue sending 7 forthwith? We'll send number 7 forthwith. Number 9, construction order Vermont Avenue Stormwater Capture and Green Street Project in Council District 8. Recommending that the board authorize a construction budget of a not to exceed amount of $686,400, which includes contingency for the project. And secondly, authorize the city engineer to issue a construction order to Clark Contracting Corporation to complete the project. Ms. Kamal.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Nosheen Kamal. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Propo Clean Water Division. The item in front of you today is requesting authority to issue a construction order for the Phase 1 of the Vermont Avenue Stormwater Capture and Green Street Project. It's requesting authority to Clark Contracting Corporation. It's from the On-Call Emergency Sewer and Storm Drain Repair Contract, also known as the ESR contract, for a not to exceed amount of $686,400. This project is located in Council District 8 within an existing rectangular median found between Gage Avenue and Vermont Avenue. We have been in close coordination with Council District 8 staff, and we've been told the councilman himself has pledged his full support for the project. The project itself, the goal is to manage stormwater off a 4.7-acre drainage area. The project will provide water quality improvements to comply with state and regulatory total TMDL, total maximum daily load requirements for bacteria, metals, and toxins, which are typically found in stormwater. In addition, the project will reduce local flooding during storm events, and it does have a beneficial aesthetic value as well. It will construct a stormwater treatment system consisting of a bioretention basin within the median, along with storm drain connections and an architectural fence. The funding of the project includes partial funding from Prop O, a clean water bond, and is augmented by $604,500 grant from IRWIMP, the Integrated Regional Water Management Plan. In addition, we've been working very close with our partners at the Bureau of Sanitation, who were able to secure the IRWIMP grant. However, the grant does have a construction completion deadline of June 2019. Full funding for this project was not available until City Council approved it in November 2017. Following City Council approval, the design consultant had to be hired through the on-call contract list, and we were able to successfully deliver the pre-design, design, and award phases of the project within the expedited timeframe as to not lose the grant. Thus, the ESR on-call emergency contract was activated because a typical 6-month period for bid and award would not work with the schedule with the grant. If you take a look at the handout that I had provided in front of you, it has the proposals from the top 3 ESR contractors. October 15th, we reached out to them and received 3 bids. The 3 proposals. The lowest and staff recommended proposal is from Clark Contracting Corporation, and it's for the amount of $686,400, which includes the 10% contingency, which is a 10% construction contingency. The second low bid was KEC Construction for $917,600, and the third bid was from Spinello Corporation for $955,000. After careful analysis of the bids and the proposals, staff recommends Clark Contracting Company. Their proposal was fair, reasonable, and they are a very professional contractor. The city has had successful stormwater projects with them in the past. And this concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Kamal. Very helpful. Appreciate it. Any questions? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. This is your first time at the board? No.
No.
Oh,
I've been here
you've
before.
okay.
It's been a
Did
while.
a good job. That wasn't
Thank you.
a first timer. You know, the grant deadline is what pushed this from, because the scope of work is not emergency. The grant receipt date is, so what you're using, I just want to be very clear.
Yes, so it's more of
about
a
the emergency.
fiscal emergency due to the June 30th, 2019 deadline.
And it's a $600,000 grant, so we obviously don't want to do that. So, but I think this is a prudent use of the emergency process to be able to retain those grant dollars to be able to do the project. So,
Yes, thank you, Commissioner.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 9, and seconded by Commissioner Garcia. So any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Any issue sending number 9 forthwith? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll send 9 forthwith. Agenda item number 10, project labor agreement, Council Districts 8 and 9, Main Street reconstruction between Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Imperial Highway, recommending that the board add the Department of Public Works project labor agreement to the project. Mr. Monte.
Good morning, President James, commissioners, and members of the board. My name is Ian Monte, representing the Bureau of Contract Administration this morning, and just here to simply request addition of the PLA. So the bureaus of both engineering and contract administration, otherwise known as BCA, generally request the Board of Public Works add the Department of Public Works project labor agreement to the Main Street reconstruction project. This project was advertised on Friday, December 7th, 2018, and is located on Main Street between Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Imperial Highway in South Los Angeles within zip codes 90003, 90037, and 90061 within Council Districts 8 and 9, as Commissioner James previously stated. The city engineer estimates this particular project at a total construction cost of $11.3 million. The Main Street reconstruction project consists of reconstructing and repairing, damaged street pavement, sidewalk, curb ramps, curbs, and gutters. The project will also include Vision Zero and Green Street elements, such as new traffic signals, traffic signal upgrades with protected left turns, bioswales, and dry well. As I've stated previously, when I've asked for projects to include the project labor agreement, the PLA does provide numerous benefits to the city, including helping to ensure that quality work is done on time within budget, also ensuring that work is done by skilled workers with a commitment to training, and certainly facilitating an orderly settlement to any labor disputes without strikes or work stoppages. More importantly, the PLA will also help ensure the maximum economic benefit achieved to the city and its communities. Completed projects covered under the current and previous PLAs have created an average of 13 jobs per $1 million of project cost. And based on this math, the Main Street reconstruction project will generate approximately 147 jobs and continued career opportunities. Adding the PLA will certainly ensure that construction work includes specific targets of hiring local residents, including apprentices and those transitional workers with barriers to employment such as homelessness, veteran status, and criminal history. And these hiring targets are certainly within the PLA are actively monitored by the Bureau of Contract Administration's Office of Contract Compliance. Therefore, the recommendation is for the board to add this PLA to this project. Available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Garcia.
Hey, Ian, thank you very much. You always do such a great job on your reports. Just a quick question. Is this project, and I don't have the clear vision here, has started, or this is something we're going to go out for bid?
No, this project has not started. I just gave the bid advertised date, which was last Friday on the 7th. The actual pre-bid conference is tomorrow morning. So we're just trying to add the PLA as addendum on this project.
Understood. Got it.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, Ian, for this. Adding more projects to our PLA roster, and your quarterly reports show that real time. It'll be interesting to see how we are able to do real time on this in these zip codes. So look forward to adding this one. I think the PLA project and program is just really a back to basics type of thing for our city too. So happy to support this. We will be able to, as we put it on, be able to match on the dashboard, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll be able to track it. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Ian, I'm sure you said this, but the city engineer, the construction estimate on that's $11.3 million. Commissioner Garcia has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 10, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 10. Any issue sending number 10 forthwith? We'll send number 10 forthwith. Mr. Monte, it looks like you're here on number 2 as well. Memorandum of Understanding, Contract Compliance Services, Bureau of Contract Administration, recommending that the board approve, subject to the mayor's approval, the execution of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the Bureau of Contract Administration. Mr. Monte on number 2.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner James. So again, good morning. So the Bureau of Contract Administration does recommend the Board of Public Works to approve the execution of the Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, between the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, otherwise known as DWP, and the Bureau of Contract Administration, otherwise known as BCA. This MOU is a renewal of an existing 3-year MOU between both parties, which expires this month. This new MOU is also subject to mayor approval. To help administer their water contracts, LADWP has requested to continue utilizing the services of BCA's Office of Contract Compliance. These two particular sections, the Certification, Outreach, Regulation, and Enforcement section, along with the Labor Compliance section, and simply for city ordinance, contractor certification, and labor compliance requirements. The new MOU will be for a term of 5 years as opposed to 3. The Board of Water and Power Commissioners previously approved this new MOU on Tuesday, November 27, 2018. The following day, the BCA provided the board's legal counsel with the MOU. That was on Wednesday, November 28, 2018 for review and approval. And then also this Office of the City Attorney has reviewed this MOU for legality and form and has approved that as well. There is no fiscal impact with this MOU, as LADWP has already agreed to compensate BCA for all of the services performed under this agreement, and thus the Bureau of Contract Administration recommends that this MOU execution approval be granted.
Thank you, Mr. Monte. Any questions on number 2? I don't have any questions. Commissioner Davis has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto and Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We will send number 2 forthwith. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned, everyone. Have a nice rest of the week.